Here, what to expect if the railroad strike hits the U.S.?
Years. A freight rail strike looming closer could begin as soon as Friday morning. About 60,000 workers are set to walk off the job if unions and management fail to come to an agreement in the next day and a half. The consequences from this could be, frankly, economically devastating. Gas prices, which have been drastically falling from their summer peak, could once again skyrocket if trains carrying fuel stop moving. Harvested crops could be prevented from reaching food factories, stopping staples from reaching grocery stores. Amtrak is already canceling almost all of its long-distance passenger trains starting tomorrow, as most of their routes run on freight tracks, disrupting travel across parts of the United States. And even your holiday
For the record, this was 2 months ago.
Shopping could be at risk. The National Retail Federation saying that the rail strike could prevent stores from stocking up on goods ahead of the holiday rush. We're going to start our coverage today with CNN's Pete Montine, who is tracking the down-to-the-wire negotiations between the unions and rail management companies, and the one detail that both sides cannot seem to agree upon.
It is the latest effort to put the brakes on a possible rail worker strike that could deal a major blow to the economy. Wednesday, bosses representing unions and railroads met with the labor secretary in a last-ditch effort to reach a deal by midnight Thursday. That's when 60,000 workers could walk off the job in solidarity with train engineers fighting for sick time. A strike will mean freight rail, which makes up 40% of all freight in the U.S., will grind to a halt, impacting everything from parts for cars to fertilizer for farming.
Transportation's a big part of the cost to the consumer, and I don't believe there's one person in the country that it won't affect.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, no shit, dude. Is this just going to stoke anti-union sentiment when Americans travel to Europe and experience a strike, they get so triggered? Yeah, of course it will. Because even in Europe and also in the United States of America as well, well, you don't really experience it in the U.S. because, like, there's rarely ever any, like, serious union action. But in Europe, when this shit happens, the European media is just like the American media. They are an arm of capital. So they will cover it as though it is the fault of the fucking workers. There are two parties to a negotiation, okay? They never talk about the other side that could also end the negotiations. You know? You know what side I'm talking about? The bosses, man. It's always the same shit. They rarely ever cover it as though, like, the management, the bosses, the side of capital has any power to end a fucking strike. They do.
Starting Thursday, some railroads will stop accepting shipments of grain, critical to feed livestock and potentially further driving up costs at supermarkets. Rail passengers will be impacted too. Amtrak is canceling all of its long-distance routes outside of the Northeast Corridor. In Chicago, 9 of 11 commuter lines will stop.
The union bosses, no. I made the mistake of saying union bosses in front of Alex Press one time, and she fucking ripped me so hard I will never make that mistake again. Don't say union boss. These people are not bosses. Do not use right-wing reactionary capitalist framing when talking about unions. These people are not union bosses. They're union leaders. They are democratically elected to be in that power, and they represent the democratic interests of the union rank and file. They are elected representatives. Just like the most aggro version of that is whenever fucking the psychotic reactionary press in the UK will say union barons. I've heard from the country that has literal fucking barons, people in the media saying union barons. Bro, you have barons. Like, you have a monarchy. How are you going to use baron as a negative when talking about a fucking union? That's crazy. Why do you still have the multiverses add up? Wait, what the fuck? I do? God damn it. This entire time I've had the multiverses add up? Motherfuckers didn't tell me shit. I just deleted it. I never look at that. Yeah, because we're all sub. We don't see it. No, it's underneath my stream in the panels.
Stop when a strike begins.
I've been commuting from the suburbs to Chicago now for over 30 years. I can never remember this happening. Could take 2 hours if I'm driving. On train, it's 40 minutes.
With midterm elections on the horizon, the pressure is on the Biden administration to reach a resolution. The president himself has called unions and employers, pushing them to resolve their differences. If a freight rail shutdown does happen, trucking companies say they cannot pick up the slack.
It starts with a very small impact, but it grows geometrically.
The impacts here far and wide, Jake. One more impact that water treatment facilities are warning they might not be able to get chlorine, critical to cleaning water. It is often sent by rail. The interesting byproduct here, Jake, there could be boil water advisories nationwide if there is a freight rail shutdown.
That's true.
Jake.
All right, Pete Montine, thanks so much.
This literally, someone said, will this affect the production of the new Mario movie? Brother, this will affect everything, okay? It won't happen, but if it did, it would be major, okay? It would be massive. What is this? No one should have to choose between their job and their health or the health of their children. But, Stephen A. Skip, I'm pro-labor president. Bayless nods. You know I'm reluctant to override the ratification vote procedures and the views on those who vote. Absolutely. But, God, that's such a fucking ESPN ass meme, dude. Holy shit, that is such a sports Twitter meme. It's like fucking, oh yeah. Even I got that. What is this? I tried telling you yesterday. This is completely off topic, but you still have the multiverses. Megaphonics, stop. It's because you post stuff like this in the chat that I don't look when you say stuff like that, okay? Alex Press correcting you. I found
3 years, but still, you know, that's
okay. I have to correct you on one thing, Hasan. Going forward,
so embarrassing.
You can't say union boss. These are elected leaders, right? I mean, truly, that is a line out of right-wing media. Don't do it. Even liberal media doesn't say union boss as much these days. So you're to the right of the New York Times on that one.
Okay, I'm sorry that I don't have a fucking style guide. Sometimes I say union bosses. Okay, labor union leadership.
Right.
Sorry, you're right. You're right.
I opened my house to this person. And she fucking owned me, okay? She owned me. CIA behavior. Sorry for bringing up the pain. Yeah. She said I'm to the right of New York Times. Fucking asshole. Also, XQC being there for this conversation is so funny. Bro, everyone you let stay with you cut the rope, but then tie together to get closer, dude. Yeah, exactly. Since you're the writer of New York Times, will we be having Nick and Kanye on your broadcast? Yeah, never. Wait, hold on. Let's finish this.
So much as Pete noted, railroad and union officials were summoned to Washington, D.C. today to meet with the Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh. This comes as the Biden administration is working overtime to prevent a strike. Let's bring in CNN's MJ Lee, who covers the White House for us. MJ, this meeting's still ongoing after several hours of negotiations. What do we know about where things stand right now?
Yeah, Jake, while President Biden has been spending the day here at the Detroit Auto Show, we know that the White House has been very closely monitoring these ongoing talks, and these talks do appear to still be ongoing. We know that union and railroad officials have been meeting with Marty Walsh, the labor secretary, and that meeting has been ongoing for hours. And in the last hour or so, a White House official giving me an update that those talks are still happening in good faith. Now, the president himself in recent days has also gotten involved, directly picking up the phone.
This is earlier. This is from 2 months ago. Chat. This is from 2 months ago. This is from 2 months ago.
and calling some of these parties to try to get them past this impasse. And the goal, of course, is to avert a strike, because White House officials know very well how economically damaging all of this could be. But that having been said, we are told by a White House official that they are still working on contingency plans, including figuring out other methods of potential transportation to get some of these goods moving, and also to try to figure out and isolate what kinds of commodities would be most severely hit. So they are planning for all possibilities, but very much still hoping that something.
Stop playing then? Wait, what? Why would I stop playing the fucking video from 2 months ago when it's still informative about what might happen if the contract is not ratified, which it wasn't, and the railways strike and what the government can do to stop them from doing so? What the fuck? Motherfuckers be like, wait a minute. When was this video published? 5 minutes ago? Get fucking wrecked, idiot. Why aren't you watching a live video right now, you fucking dumbass? Hold up now. This is old news.
Thing will come to a deal.
MJ, I don't need to tell you this, but the railroads work under a unique labor law, which allows the federal government to intervene to prevent a strike. They can impose temporary regulations while continuing negotiations with the unions. Are you hearing any word that anyone in the government is considering this?
Yeah, you know, the short answer for now seems to be that Congress is not very interested in intervening. Just take a note of the fact that yesterday, Senator Dick Durbin told our colleague Ali Zazov on Capitol Hill, he said, I don't think it's likely that we will intervene. What he basically said was that he thinks it is up to the different parties to get to the negotiating table and figure out a deal on their own. And also House Speaker Nancy Pelosi just today telling reporters, I'd rather see the negotiations prevail so that Congress doesn't have to act. So all in.
That's good framing. It's crazy the U.S. would have to reorganize its supply chain for 60 days because some railway executives want a larger bonus. That is the perfect way to frame this argument. Okay? Because the media will frame this as this is the labor unions against all the other workers type thing, type argument, when in fact, that's not the case. Okay? So remember that.
Indications right now, at least for the time being, is that there's little appetite on Capitol Hill for them to actually have to intervene. But again, these events are so fluid, these talks are still ongoing, so we don't know exactly